Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late. I slept in, y'all, and I didn't even know I'd shut my alarm off. I apologize. I am only human. Rebecca and Joy, if you're in here, thank you. Show 0 people here, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. It is October the 19th of 2024, and we're going to be in, hi, Rebecca. Welcome in. I'm sorry about missing the live. I'm live now, and I see there's 2 of you back in here. James Hall, good morning, y'all. It is October the 19th of 2024, and we're going to be in Proverbs 19 that syncs up with that date. Hey, Joy, so glad you guys are back in here with me. We had a late night last night. Dina's surgery went well. She's in a lot of pain this morning, but look at her. She got a bandage on there.
Morning, y'all.
And a bandage on her chest, but
I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah, she's been suffering, so it's been a rough night.
I've been up since 10:30 p.m.
Yeah, she's been awake and up since 10:30 p.m. And me, James Hall said, good morning, Dina.
It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, she said it was nice to meet you, James, at the Pinecone Fest. And anyway, let's jump into today's chapter 19, verse 1. Starts out, better. I hope you have a quick recovery and that the Lord will take away the pain. I think that's what it said. I got some kind of pop-up. Yeah, that's from Rebecca.
I appreciate that.
She said, thank you, Rebecca. She's milling around over there in the kitchen. I don't know what she's doing.
I'm getting my apple juice and my instructions.
Getting apple juice and instructions, and she's going back to her recliner. So, verse 1, better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool. Also, it is not good for a soul to be without knowledge, and he sins who hastens with his feet. Got a pretty dry throat this morning, y'all. This is verse 3, and there's a note with verse 3. The foolishness of a man twists his way, and his heart frets against the Lord. The note says people often blame something or someone else for the parts of life that they do not like. The problem is as old as Adam and Eve. Solomon asserts, however, that a fool is responsible for his or her own actions and should not blame the results of carelessness on the will of the Lord. And then verse 4 through verse 7 has a note with it. So let's read the verses and then we'll go to the note. Hey, Scotty, good morning. Welcome in. Verse 4, wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies will not escape. Many entreat the favor of the nobility, and every man is a friend to one who gives gifts. All the brothers of the poor hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He may pursue them with words, yet they abandon him. And then the note says, these proverbs are reality checks about how riches impact relationships, yet they say something just as important about the reality of human nature. Love of money is often the driving motivator for people, right down to friendship. Real friends will be loyal to any circumstance and should be prized above any possession. Boy, that is absolutely true. I hope each and every person in here has a real friend. I know Dina and I do have real friends. Let's go to verse 8. He who gets wisdom loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find good. Verse 9. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. And then there's a note on verse 5 and verse 9 together. So I'm going to go back and let's read verse 5 and then jump to verse 9, and then we'll read the note. Verse 5, a false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies will not escape. Verse 9, a false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. So you will not escape and you will perish, it says. These verses are nearly identical, only the final verb differs and are probably repeated because of the seriousness of lying in court, although the principle set forth would certainly apply to all speech. Now we're verse 10. Luxury is not fitting for a fool, much less for a servant to rule over princes. The discretion of a man makes him slow to anger, and his glory is to overlook a transgression. The king's wrath is like the roaring of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish son is the ruin of his father, and the contentions of a wife are a continual dripping. Houses and riches are an inheritance from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Laziness casts one into deep sleep, and an idle person will suffer hunger. He who keeps the commandment keeps his soul, but he who is careless of his ways will die. Verse 17, not 12. He who has pity on the poor lends to the Lord, and he will pay back what he has given. And there's a note on verse 17 says, here having pity means acting on someone's behalf or meeting a person's needs. Given to the poor is like lending to the Lord. God repays with interest, blessing the giver's generosity with his. And you guys should try that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that absolutely works. And but you don't give with the mindset of getting back from God. You give with the mindset of helping and blessing someone. But it does work. Verse 18. Chasten your son while there is hope, and do not set your heart on his destruction. And the note on verse 18 says, discipline postponed will be ineffective. Discipline ought to be administered when the offense occurs and before a child grows up. This is when parents have a chance to make a difference. This is when there is hope for turning a child from the course of destruction. We're back in verse 19. A man of great wrath will suffer punishment, for if you rescue him, you will have to do it again. Listen to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days. Verse 21. There are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand. Let me read that again. There are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel that will stand. And the note says, in everyday language, this verse is saying you can make all the plans you like, but God gets the last word. In the end, his purpose always prevails. And then verse 22 is where we're at, and it also has a note with it. What is desired in a man is kindness, and a poor man is better than a liar. And then the note says the proverb affirms that people long for kindness. Kindness is in the Old Testament is a relational covenant term that denotes the characteristics of integrity and faithfulness. These qualities are the hallmark of God's dealings with his people. They are qualities that God desires to see lived out in the relationships his people have with one another. Kindness. Just be kind, y'all. Just be kind. Verse 23. That was verse 22's note. We'll read verse 23, and then we'll read verse 24, and then a note on verse 24. The fear of the Lord leads to life, and he who has it will abide in satisfaction. He will not be visited with evil. Verse 24. A lazy man buries his hand in the bowl and will not so much as bring it to his mouth again. This humorous picture presents the extreme of laziness to warn against its dangers. Lazy's bad. Verse 25. Strike a scoffer, and the simple will become weary. Rebuke one who has understanding, and he will discern knowledge. He who mistreats his father and chases away his mother is a son who causes shame and brings reproach. Cease listening to instruction, my son, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. A disreputable witness scorns justice, and the mouth of the wicked devours iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scoffers, and beatings for the backs of fools. And that wraps up chapter 19 for this morning. Way late. I feel terrible about that. I'm so glad that you guys came back and joined me. Andy, good morning. I don't even know what time we started here. It was close to an hour late. We're in Ephesians 6, chapter 6, verse 10 through 20. We're going to put on our armor, face the day. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts and wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in an evil day, and having done all to stand, stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints, and for me, that utterance may be given to me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in it I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. Right, y'all, that prepares us for our day. Again, I feel terrible about starting late. I know you guys were in here waiting. Avid, welcome in. Good morning. No worries, Jack. You're still here and still doing the Lord's work. Yes, it's been a rough night, but I don't know. Got to figure out why my alarm was so low, and I just killed it. I know I did. Dina said she never heard it, but that's because somehow, some way, I've got it turned down, and it's not turned down with the volume switch. I got to figure that out. I apologize again. I am human, so I'm going to move on. I'm not going to apologize anymore because people, it's offensive if you just keep doing it, especially you guys have already said. No worries. Close that window. I want to challenge you guys to go be a blessing for someone else today. And as always, may God bless everything you do. If you're in God's will, He will. He definitely will. Do not feel bad, sir. I'm just glad you're well. Thank you. Y'all keep praying for Dina's continual healing. The surgery, we didn't get home till 8 something last night from the surgery. We didn't expect it to be that late. So, long day waiting around the hospital. We get up there at 11, and 9 hours later, for an hour and a half surgery, we made it home. Anyway, we thank you for the prayers you've already given, and we appreciate more prayers for continued healing for my beautiful bride. God bless y'all. Challenge you to go be a blessing for someone else today, and y'all have a great day. We will see you again in the morning. Bye now.